You'll never believe how far a country will go to protect its local car companies. 4 years ago, Malaysia lifted the import tax on electric vehicles. Back then, they didn't produce a single EV. Chinese brands saw their chance and seized it. BYD, Chery, Leapmotor, Xiaopeng, these brands quickly took over the EV market. Malaysia is at a very interesting turning point right now. The electric vehicle market may not be huge, but it's growing like crazy. It doubled last year, and this year's first quarter doubled again. Now, while the EV market is booming, the overall car market is slowing down. In the first quarter of this year, Malaysia's new car sales were around 190,000 units, with a small dip of 2.9%. Japanese, American, and German cars all saw double-digit drops, and even local brands Proton and Proton only had a slight increase of 2.8%. But Chinese cars, they are storming in with a 36.7% growth, especially in the fast-growing EV sector. Affordable Chinese electric cars have become the dominant force. Recently, Malaysia dropped a heavy bombshell. Starting July 1st, all imported electric vehicles must meet two conditions. The landed price can't be lower than 200,000 ringgit, and the output power must be at least 180 kilowatt. To put it in simple terms, cheap electric cars don't bother coming.
So what does a 200,000 ringgit CIF price actually mean? It means the car already cost 200,000 ringgit by the time it reaches the port. After import duties, excise tax and sales tax, the dealer's cost could already reach around 250,000 ringgit. Add profit margins on top of that, and by the time ordinary consumers buy the car, the final price could easily reach at least 300,000 ringgit, around 520,000 yuan. This policy looks almost tailor-made to block Chinese cars. We looked through the fully imported EVs currently in Malaysia. A total of 71 models are affected. Among them, 30 models have power output below 180 kilowatts, while 41 models have power output above 180 kilowatts, but are priced below 300,000 ringgit. Nearly 60 of these affected models are Chinese cars. Brands like BYD, Dolphin, iCar, Ion, Leapmotor, Xiaopeng, Zeekr and Aura all get hit. More than 20 Chinese models fail to meet the power output requirement, and at least 30 fail to meet the price requirement. In other words, starting in July, these Chinese EVs will no longer be able to enter Malaysia, and BYD is the biggest example. BYD is currently the best-selling Chinese brand in Malaysia's EV market, and it may also be the most affected. Among all the BYD models currently on sale, only two meet the power requirement: the Seal and the Sealion. But here is the problem. Even these two models, which meet the power standard, are currently priced below 200,000 ringgit, let alone having a CIF price above 200,000 ringgit. BYD were forced to sell them for more than 300,000 ringgit, who would pay almost double the price for the same car. So once the new rule takes effect, BYD's presence in Malaysia could basically be whipped out. The government's explanation sounds reasonable. Promote local assembly, encourage CKD production, and protect the local automotive ecosystem. But if you look closer, there is a very interesting coincidence. The new power output threshold just happens to block the direct competitors of the Proton eMas 7, the BYD Atto 3, Chery iCar 03, Leapmotor B10, and Nissan Leaf. These compact electric SUVs, priced around 100,000 to 150,000 ringgit, exactly the same segment where the Proton eMas 7 competes. And because the Proton eMas 7 is locally produced, it is naturally not affected by the restriction.
What's even more interesting is that Geely, Proton parent company, has been in a neck-and-neck race with BYD in the Chinese market. To get around this restriction, companies either have to build factories locally or partner with local businesses. BYD thought the same, but Malaysia introduced a rule in September last year. To build a factory, the company must also meet an 8:2 export-to-domestic production ratio. This rule isn't just about creating jobs, it's also about earning foreign exchange. I found out that BYD's CKD factory in Malaysia has also shut down. BYD already has factories in Thailand and Indonesia, and its production capacity in China is massive. So how could it justify building a dedicated export factory for Malaysia? Interestingly, brands like Zeekr, Chery, Leapmotor and Xiaopeng don't seem to be as affected because they signed their agreements before the deadline. It's not just BYD being targeted. In the first quarter of this year, only 6 of the top 20 electric vehicles in Malaysia were unaffected. Besides Proton's own T models, the Wuling Bingo and MG5 are locally assembled, and Zeekr 009 and Mercedes-Benz EQS are priced above 300,000 ringgit. Toyota, which just launched 3 electric vehicles in Malaysia, will also be hit hard. These top 20 models account for 90% of the pure EV market, and less than 2% of those are priced above 300,000 ringgit. That means most people are buying electric vehicles in the lower price range. And now, almost the only option left is Proton. New competition, no value for money. Back in the 1980s, Malaysia's protectionist policies made local cars expensive, low in quality, and with limited choices. And now, the same thing is happening with the electric vehicle market. This feels pretty familiar. The tactics that developed countries use to limit Asia's textile industry are exactly the same. Set a minimum price threshold, require local production, and then demand impossible export quotas to force competitors to withdraw. What Malaysia is doing today is essentially an upgrade of industrial protectionism, just like an OTA update. But this time, the ones being protected aren't small domestic workshops. They are big, global joint venture giants already deeply embedded in the global supply chain. So if we look at it this way, the biggest winner of this new rule is Proton and its parent company Geely. But the losers, they are pretty clear. All the other brands and every Malaysian who wants to buy a good electric car at a reasonable price. Protectionism has never been a free lunch. But this time, the real question is, who is picking up the bill?